as Rush Limbaugh takes one more step closer to irrelevance, he's being cut from some of his Cumulus different locations around the country that he's currently broadcast on. He was interviewed earlier this week on Fox News. He was on the Record with Greta Van Susteren, and he said some stuff about both Detroit and about the Democrats, and I think that he's getting a little bit more desperate. I think that's why he's turning to Fox News when previously he's criticized them. And so we're going to talk about some of the things that he said. First, we've got some video about what he thinks about negotiations and compromise.
These Republicans are not stupid. They have to know that agreeing with the Democrats on issue after issue after issue is going to equal Democrat victory after victory after victory. So why are they doing it?
Is there no room for negotiation, bipartisanship? I mean, is it just opposition?
Between who?
Between the two parties? Are you suggesting the Republicans shouldn't negotiate and have a bipartisan approach with Democrats?
Well, yeah, pretty much, because I don't think we have anything in common with them. I mean, where's the commonality? I don't have anything in common with Obama, policy-wise, zilch, zero, nada. You know, compromise is portrayed as this wonderfully erudite and elite, superior form of existence. And too often what it means in Washington is that conservatives have to compromise their core in order to be considered nice people or what have you. I'm about defeating them, Greta, not compromising with them. They don't compromise a one-way street. Why don't you, not you, why doesn't the press ever ask Obama or any Democrats, well, why don't you, are you willing to compromise? What are you willing to give up? It's always a one-way street. What do the Republicans have to do to make something work? What do the Republicans have to change to make something work? I think our ideas will trump Obama's ideas every day, but he doesn't want our ideas on the table. He's not about ideas. He's brute force. Obama's about eliminating opposition, not working with it. So why should we help him?
Are we like living in the same country?
Yeah.
That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. And it's indicative of what the entire Republican Party believes. It's not just Rush Limbaugh, which is why Obama was ridiculous for trying to pass bipartisan legislation in the beginning.
Yeah, and he was proposing his grand bargain on jobs right there. So, like, we were, I don't know if our mics were up, we were gasping at multiple points. That dude in that video that you just saw with the perfectly spherical head thinks that the problem with politics over the last few years is that the Republicans have been compromising too much. I don't know what channel he watches, because even on Fox News, I don't think they can take what happens and portray it as compromise. Also, he apparently has a word of the day calendar because he wanted to use the word erudite. That's not what we portray compromise as. He just likes linking that to Obama.
It sounds very
And Obama
lofty.
is brute force.
Oh, you know that Obama.
What is that referring to?
He's like Machiavelli, he's Machiavellian, I should say. Yeah, totally.
To call Obama brute force is so crazy because the biggest knock on Obama from his own supporters is that he doesn't like to legislate. He doesn't like to get in the room and wrangle heads. He likes to be out there and promote things and get applause and all that. I actually watched that whole thing last night because I am a glutton for punishment, and it became so obvious to me after watching a full hour of that man, not just hearing him, but watching him too, is that he's just playing to the base in a way that the politicians can't even do. You know what I mean? He's just going to all the fear centers. And when you watch Rand Paul and you watch Chris Christie, they can't really do that. So they fight with each other and don't really say anything. But he can go to all the fear center and just keep pushing it because he's not being elected for anything.
Yes.
I want to go back to something that John kind of implied earlier in this segment. Do you think that he is saying these ridiculous, crazy things on Fox News because he's angling to get a job there?
No, not necessarily. No, I think he wants an audience.
I see.
I think he has the fake massive audience of supposed people driving around listening to his AM radio stations. I don't think that audience really exists, and it's about to become much smaller with the Cumulus changeover.
Why do you think it doesn't exist?
I don't think that they've ever shown any actual statistical data showing that many people are actually watching his program. He goes out, and Cenk talks about this all the time, he goes out and says, I have 30 million viewers. Who?
Right.
1/10 of the country is listening to your program every day? Who? No, he gets on the news because he says crazy things, and I think that he's going on Fox News because maybe that's a slightly younger audience. It's like the 68-year-olds.
Oh, that's devastating.
But anyway, we one of the reasons we cover him and one of the reasons I hate him is because he's out there and he has some kind of an audience, and the people who listen to his program are much stupider for having done so. And so we want to highlight one example of that. He was talking recently about the bankruptcy of Detroit and why that happened, and he said this. you've had that town has been a petri dish of everything the Democrat Party stands for. I love that he refuses to say Democratic Party. Everything the Democrat Party loves: massive unions, massive pensions, pay people pensions and healthcare long after they've stopped working. And here's where he goes off into crazy land. And in the case of you throw race into the mix and you bring on Mayor Coleman Young, who causes riots in 1967 in Detroit, and Mayor Young caused a white flight to suburbia, and Detroit is left with nothing but liberal Democrats running it. It is what it is. And any place in this country that has similar circumstances, the same fate is going to happen to them. So just a couple of the ways that he's wrong there, and the ways that unfortunately his viewers are going to falsely believe that we should legislate. Coleman Young was elected 6 years after the beginning of those riots. Detroit had a couple of upswings in its economy and the lowering of poverty long after that. In the obituary for Coleman Young, they specifically say Detroit had already been reeling from high unemployment in the automobile industry, a higher crime rate, and deteriorating housing. So even when he tries to appear to know something about history, he knows jack shit, and his audience knows slightly less.
And that goes to my point about the fear thing. He's just saying things, and they loosely sound right, and not that many people fact check what happened in 1967 Detroit. Yeah. So you say the fear thing, you throw it out there, now you got the Fox News people going, oh my God, something happened in 1967 Detroit, and it's happening again. That sounds horrible, because everyone knows that Detroit's in trouble now. So it's so obvious. There's just like a systemic use of the brain, and he's just attacking that center over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. And he's blatant there. He's saying black people scared away all the white people. It's all their fault. And so he's not even hiding it anymore.